toughest strongman in history, right here.
It's not a beauty contest. This is Strongman. Have to be alive if you can't do that thing. And away we go!
Welcome to the Giants Live Strongman Podcast Series 2, episode unknown at the moment, but alongside me is Mr. Darren Sadler, my partner in all things Giants Live, sadly for him, former under 105 World's Strongest Man winner and 4 times World's Strongest Man competitor, amongst many other things. And alongside him is the legend, the 5 times Ireland's Strongest Man, World's Strongest Man competitor, Mr. Pa O'Dwyer. How are you, chaps?
I'm good. What is the crack?
Good.
You go as Irish as possible, straight to crack. Anyway, we're outside the Giants Live warehouse today, as it's the end of a bit of cracking summer, actually, to talk about crack. And
Let's not.
Let's not.
It's illegal.
Duck crack. And yeah, we still have some strongman competitions to come up. Normally, originally the season would be over by now, but of course with indoor arenas and whatnot, it isn't. We still have the World Tour finals. And how's your shape, Pa?
Yeah, I feel good. Obviously, I come over here for a week just to better myself, make myself a bit better for the Glasgow show. The power stairs is kind of still a bit new to me, and I find that dumbbell is a bit different from the other ones that I'm used to, so I just need to come over here and just kind of get used to it, because it kind of caught me off guard last year when we used it for the Arnold Classic. It just sits differently, and I find when it's dumbbell pressing, the most important part with that is getting comfortable at this point, and if you're uncomfortable here, you're going to make just going to make it very hard for yourself.
These dumbbells are almost like an atlas stone about that big, but encased in like steel. So they sit a bit weird on your shoulder.
These are the ones from Australia, right?
Yeah. Standard Submit made them for us years ago. Yeah. We hadn't used them. We only used them once, I think.
No, I used them twice. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, get them back out and see how we go on.
But yeah, basically it's got like sort of straps of steel around it holding the Atlas stone in either end of what is a dumbbell basically. And Pa was, if you're watching or listening to this in the podcast, the problem is when it's at your shoulder, right? Or even behind your neck, I guess, as dumbbell really is, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I find with dumbbell, you need to get that dumbbell kind of the majority of the weight on your neck. Because like even when I'm showing other lads how to dumbbell press, I tell them to not use their shoulder, that it's a leg press and catch, more or less. Because like no one really is going to press 100 kilos with their shoulder, do you know? Yeah. So it's a technical thing where you use your legs and tricep and shoulder to catch it, do you know? So it's not a simple put the dumbbell up here and shoulder press it. That's
more like an Olympic type lift. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
The guys that are good at it definitely do it like that. I mean, there's certain guys like I am Bibby that can just press it, but I mean, most of you guys tend to jump under it, use as least energy as possible. Yeah,
it's the most efficient way, really, and the most least taxing, I find, is the best way to press a dumbbell. And when you leg press it as opposed to shoulder press it, you'll press more and you'll get more reps out of a dumbbell.
Here's a question for you guys. You remember the old school bent press, as there's Eugene Sandow or one of these guys would do? I mean, and they used to say you'd basically hold it in position and then lower your body away from it, and often they'd pick a 56-pound weight up or something kind of weird. The old that was in many ways was more the circus style strongman. Have you ever tried that type of technique where I guess you're sort of pressing your body away from it, aren't you?
I've never tried it, but like if you watch Novikov, how he kind of presses like that, doesn't he? He goes really down to one side.
It's like a slowed down version of what Pa's on about, I think. Yeah, it's a less efficient version of what he's on about.
The reason it jumped into my head is exactly that. I saw a photograph of Novikov, and he's virtually in that old school position. And I wonder if there's something in that.
Well, 2 of the best dumbbell pressers in the world, I think, are Novikov and Kilivskovsky, and they both press the exact same way. Because if you watch Matthias, like he literally dips down to the side as well and catches it. Novikov does the same thing. So when you see the 2 of the best in the world doing that, that's what you should be trying to do, and it's very similar to that old circus style bench press.
Just a lot faster. It's basically.
But maybe is it faster because it's kind of it was a lost art, wasn't it? Maybe it wasn't at all. Maybe that's what they kind of did.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, I think the main thing is doing it like you weightlifting, but with one arm. You know what I mean? Getting your body down under it and getting under it with a straight arm, so you don't have to press it, or almost straight. You can always do that from there. pressing it. But if it's already almost locked out, just a bit of tricep.
It's just tricep. I do this thing like a neck press, and I'll put, like, the best I've done is with 120 kilos, and I'll hold the bar here, and I'll jump and I'll catch the barbell in the middle like that. And that has kind of taught me how to dumbbell press as well, even though it's kind of dangerous. But
but is your body always pretty much up? No, it isn't upright. It can't be, can it?
It's not.
You've gone quite to the side, haven't you, to catch that?
So the weight
a long barbell. You catch. So, I've seen you do that.
Yeah,
that's freaky, actually.
Yeah.
What's the heaviest weight you've caught like that?
I've done 120 kilos.
Has it ever gone wrong?
The only time it goes wrong is you just come out from under it.
Right. Okay.
Guess how much Darren Sadler? This blew me away, actually. The first time I never thought Daz would have. He's a very talented man. He's full of surprises, right? I don't know why I was surprised, because the only time we ever competed, he kicked my ass and everything, and even the ones I thought I was absolutely guaranteed going to win. And it was one-handed snatch. Daz, a one-handed snatch, I would guess if he trained it, could be right up there and maybe break the world record.
Well, the years ago, Kochlev went for
110.
I think it was 115.
Daz did 90 without a warm-up in front of me just in an expo. Easily.
I can do well over 100 kilos, like 105, and I started doing it a little bit, but my shoulder started hurting. But we were at an expo.
Because that'll make it feel better.
No, it's really bad on your shoulder.
The other one, I guess.
But like with 90, I could do reps with. And we were at an expo, and there was 90 kilos on a bar. And I said, I can do that just straight above my head. And you went, no, you can't.
Because I'd started doing it. I think I even challenged you, and you what? How do you do it? And you just went. Dave Warner and I were, battling it out on 60 kilos.
You'll be good at it. The point is with that, you've got to totally commit to it.
Yeah.
You've got to totally think it's going to be locked out or it's not going to happen. You can't think of it. It's got to be one movement. If you think of it of two movements, it won't happen.
But the grip is. Did you hook up that day?
No. Well, I would have to do it if I got up to like probably 115. But I've done 105 and just overran like that.
I had to use a strap.
And then I saw Rogue. I think it might have been 115, and they were offering $5,000 or $5,000 for whoever could do it. And we were refereeing, if you remember. I was like, said to him, I think I can fucking do it. I'm gonna look alright twat if I get it wrong. Well, I'm all talk, you know what I mean? So.
What is it? I mean, that's quite a unique strength. Tell me something. If there was an event. If we speak to the organisers, we might be able to get it in. No, I'm doing it. But is there an event that you could absolutely blow the world away at? Some sort of weird exercise?
Well,
I
thought, obviously, when we put the Flintstone lift in World's Strongest Man, I thought if he gets to the final, you can do a hell of a lot behind the net, can't you?
Yeah.
Hell of a lot.
I did 230 kilos in training. I think with the being in a competition and being at World's Strongest Man and with the adrenaline and everything else, I think I'd be fairly confident going as far as 250.
What did it go to? 242.5, I think it went
246 or 247.
246 was it, right? And that was Novikov.
Yeah. I'd like to have gone head-to-head with him just to see what I could actually do when it came down to it.
You are a remarkably slick Olympic lifter when it comes to that. Do you have an Olympic lifting background before?
No. I work a lot of my explosiveness, box jumps and stuff like this, and that transitions over to that sort of lifting. But I do a lot of weird lifts like that as well with the one hand catch overhead. And like you're saying, it takes probably the hardest part of this is the mindset of getting under 100 kilos and committing to catching 120 kilos with one hand. Because if you don't commit to it, you're going to get hurt or you're going to fail it. But I do a lot of weird stuff like that. You've seen a lot of it. I do a lot of it on Instagram at the gym challenges. I've another one where and
your Instagram is?
Pa to wear.
Okay, there we go. That's an easy one, just in case.
Shocker.
Well, in case we're getting some new listeners. You haven't hoovered them all up yet.
Where did you think of that one? Where did you think of that?
How'd you come up with it? I have another one where I set up a bar on the ground. It's I've went as far as 140 kilos. And you basically walk up to it and you put your hand in underneath the bar, you hold the bar here and you stand up with it upright, an upright position.
And it's on the floor at normal height?
It's on the floor, normal height, yeah. So the harder part of that is flexibility of getting in under it.
Oh, yeah.
Like that and hooking it.
And taking the pain. And styling it out.
Yeah. I've done the deadlift Zercher.
So I've seen that, yeah.
So you put it up here, and I've done that with 260 kilos.
How does the Zercher? You stand up to your knees.
You deadlift, put on your knees, squat down, hook it underneath like that, and stand up with it upright.
That's right. Conan's wheel training had sort of Zercher was kind of a crossover for that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
260 you did.
260, yeah.
I think you could take on Grizzly Kyriakos.
But if you look at weightlifters, some of the top in the world, and on a European level, some of them have trained in my gym, and they're not massively strong on the shoulders, but they can put far more weight than we'd ever put up. So I started to think, hang on a sec, what if you were strong and you got a bit of that? Do you know what I mean? Which is what you've got.
Yeah.
I don't think you've got the strongest shoulders in the world, but you could probably behind the neck press more than a massive presser. It's harder to get it across on the log, isn't it?
It is way harder because the log sits out too far.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get it in under it, do you know?
The problem with the log when you're doing that fast movement, it's really good. If you look, probably Kearney does it about as good as I've seen.
Yeah.
It's okay, but when it goes wrong, it's done. Whereas
bad, yeah.
if you're a presser, like a strong presser, someone like Hicksy or Luke or Bibby, they'll fight it out. Whereas if you see someone like Kearney jump under, well, it's either up or it's fucking down. Do you know what I mean? He just does one or the other, I think.
The thing about that as well is, especially with the log, because it's more dangerous. So when you're split jerking the log, you've the log up here, right? So you jerk it, you split. So you've nothing. You've no weight in your hands. You've no weights on your tricep. And then you get under it. Like for Carney, it was 214 kilos. So he'd 0, 0, 0, then bang, 214 kilos
Straight
into
away,
the
yeah.
triceps.
Yes.
So you've that impact in tricep.
Took his tricep off.
And it took his tricep off, yeah. So that's why it's more dangerous.
Yeah, he's hitting it from zero to almost like a full flexion.
Yeah.
And then some, and of course the shock of it hitting, all the stuff you couldn't voluntarily recruit.
And ironically, he pulled his tricep off, but that was because he had good form. Because it's not meant to touch until it's locked out.
No,
do you know
that's
what I mean?
the thing, yeah.
So, but it's just it's a dangerous way of doing it. But I tell you, who was really good at it actually was Cochlear when he got hold of a log.
He was good.
He was so quick. And the only thing is, when you watch someone like that, so let's say if you watch the old videos of like Cochlear and Big Z and Mike Jenkins going for the world record log at World's Strongest Man, as they were getting up the, maybe 190, 200, 210, they were getting a little bit slower but still pressing it. Whereas Cochlear was fast and then nothing. It was gone.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? He's out.
You either get it or you don't. Yeah.
Whereas Big Z just goes a bit slower and still gets it up. So there is a bit of a risk there, isn't there?
Yeah, massive risk, yeah. That's the only thing about it.
Interestingly, if you look back to the sort of like 1974, I think it was, when the World Weightlifting Championships, and our pal Jim Lorimer from Ohio, in fact we saw the weightlifting bar with the weight still on it.
Yeah.
That was the last clean and press world record, I believe. And that was done by, oh crikey, how could I forget his name? The great Russian.
Alexei.
Thank you, Alexeyev.
Yeah.
Well, that bar, I think it was 250 kilos or something like
So
that.
I tell you, it wasn't quite that much. No, it was. This is the point I was making. I think it was the first ever press over 500 pounds. That's what it was. It was 229 that day, and they only ever took it to like 230 and a bit.
That was a strict press, wasn't it?
Well, that's the problem. But there was only about 1 or 2 kilos, maybe 3 kilos maximum between that and the clean and jerk at that point. Which is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. That bar was sat in Jim Lorimer's office. He took it off the stage and put it in his office. Still there, still loaded with that weight on it.
Who?
Jim Lorimer.
All right, okay.
And it's just sat there, but it's amazing how far it's come, because they were not fancy plates at all.
They were clunky metal ones.
They were awful plates. They were like
rubber.
They're not like you get now, all calibrated. It was a bit clunky and a rubbish clip on it.
Yeah.
But so what could that guy have done now? If you come out now, it's got to be certain clips. It's got to be so tight, and the plates are like that thin.
Yeah.
But he did it and sort of bullied it up. And then Jim took the bar and
I mean, the bar had nothing like the whip it does now in an Olympic bar.
Yeah.
It felt like a heavily knurled, like
squat
thick,
bar, yeah.
thicker powerlifting
nice sort
bar.
of piece of history. I wanted to see it.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. Well, now listen, we're going to just stop for a little section now and try to change things up a wee bit. And this is just for a little bit of humour. You are a famous, funny strongman. But it's only something that a lot of the people who come to the live shows get to see, and that is Pa Dwyer. I know on your Instagram, but for those who haven't seen your Instagram, Pa, you're magnificent at doing impressions of people. And one of the best people you do, and he's a right old plonker, is that Darren Sadler. Yeah. So here we are. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, you're going to have to close your eyes and guess, right? We're going to guess the Darren Sadler. Who's the real Darren Sadler, okay?
So who goes first? You want me to go first?
No. They can't know. They can't know.
Wait, you want me to go first?
Okay, so with you, right, okay. Yeah, no, but Who knows who's talking now?
Mate, I think I should go first, mate.
Okay, I'm going to call you Darren Sadler A and B. All right,
Okay.
so if your eyes are shut, folks, okay. Okay, please introduce yourself, Darren Sadler A.
You're right, mate. Yeah, I'm good. You feeling good?
Darren Sadler B.
How are you doing, mate? You feeling good? I think I actually changed my voice there.
I sounded more like you did.
Yeah, you won. You won.
You actually made your voice higher there.
I'm trying to sound like Pa. Right, so let's do. You give us some voices, and then we've got to guess who it is.
Okay.
I think this is going to be easy.
Okay, we have to close. Do you have to close your eyes? No.
Well, why?
Don't turn into
Well,
the-
listen, I'm not going to turn into the character, no.
Yeah, no, you're not a chameleon then, no.
Okay, close your eyes.
Okay, it's more fun. Though.
If you want to close your eyes, mate, you do it.
You can close your eyes if you want.
I'm there.
Okay. One of my favourite events is the Hercules Hold. I hold all the records.
I know who that is because of the Hercules Hold bit.
Big Z.
It was not me.
Mark Felix. Was not me.
Mark
Drew's
Felix,
Vickers. Drew's Vickers? So I'm 2-0 up.
I remember once I
I
met,
knew him, you're just saying them
Yeah,
faster.
but you know, people are listening.
I met this guy in an airport once, and obviously I came up to him and I said, he was one of the biggest guys at the time, and I said to him, I was asking for tips on log press. So this is the tip he gave me. So he goes, for me, I get log up to chest, I roll it up, I press log overhead, I bring down, and I put the ground. I said,
That's exactly what he would say.
Oh, he actually said that. You've been serious.
he actually said that to me, yeah. I was looking for tips. And that's his tip.
Bring up the chest.
Oh, dear.
I was like,
You
wow.
just told you what a log press was.
His number one tip was press the log over your head.
Make sure you get it to your shoulders first, then press it.
Oh, dear.
There's a magnificent simplicity about Z. And
Well, that's how he does it, so.
Do you know, Martin Lissus actually shared this video on his Instagram recently. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's like, it's only like a background scene. And it's Martin's just warming up. And Big Z is just standing there. And the camera's kind of on him. And he turns around and goes, oh, rainbow. And just stops like that. And the camera turns around and there's no rainbow.
could be something to do with the refraction of the light through the lens. No.
He can,
Probably not.
he can see more rainbows than we can.
Yeah. I have to say.
Any
what-
more impersonation?
Yeah, okay. How about we? Do you do requests?
Do I do requests?
do you do requests?
Okay, let's see.
Okay. How about Evan Singleton? That knob who's just off camera.
I haven't practiced it much, but he's kind of easy enough to do. One of the things he likes to say over and over is "fuck yeah."
What's the thing with the fingers?
This?
Yeah.
Oh well, if you look at Evan, he's got chicken legs tattooed onto his hands.
So I'm afraid there's no comeback with no headset on. And okay, how about this one then? Obviously, you know, for those who've seen you live, like you're a comedian, seen you live at the shows, you do a very good Bill Kazmar. Give us a wee bit of Kaz.
Well, I suppose Bill was one of the first voices I did. You know.
That was one of the Arnolds that was priceless. Kaz was giving it some full, and you know, did you feel the? It was like the magma rising up through your body, and you're like, no, I didn't really feel the magma rising up through my. It was like a classic. I think was that the first time you did it? It was a priceless moment.
I don't remember.
It was almost taking. It wasn't just you didn't just do his voice. You actually, you know, you did this whole spiel back at him. It was genius.
That was the Arnold Classic, was it?
Yeah.
I did that interview with him after doing a dumbbell, and on my last attempt, I dropped the dumbbell down top of my head,
That's right.
and I gave myself a fucking concussion. And Bill was like, Pa, let's do an interview. Come over here. And I was seeing fucking birds at this stage. So I've no recollection of that interview.
It's priceless. I was watching it the other day. It was really, because you just parroted him perfectly, but had your own little Irish humour twist in there.
Who do you think I am now?
I've no idea. Seeing as I've been waving white flags recently, we're all pals.
Oh, that's good.
Not that I know who it is.
Any more?
Who else? I have a quick question. I don't like the colour of that dumbbell. I'm wondering, could I get that changed to black? Because I've been training on a black dumbbell, so you know.
We get that one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who that would be, to be honest.
Could you not run your show at the same time as mine? That'd be great.
Yes, the great Brian Shawn D. Oh, bless. That's a pretty good one, actually. Have you done it to him yet? Have you hit him with that one yet? That's good. That's good.
Cool.
All right, how about somebody like Terry Hollins?
Do you know, he keeps telling me to take him off, but he's really hard to take off. I find his accent is hard to do.
Water. The funny thing is, Terry, to all of us, sounds incredibly understandable. You take him anywhere in the
America,
world,
no one knows what he's saying.
Can I get a glass of water, please? And people are like, I'm terribly sorry what you're saying in an American accent.
I had to sit there in restaurants and order his food for him, literally.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand what we're saying. What? I don't understand. Then I'd say it and they go, all right. You know. So, Glasgow.
Glasgow, big in. Who's going to win? Who's going to win there?
Who's going to win Glasgow?
Who's the top athletes there, do you think, on those events?
Who's the big in Glasgow?
I think probably one of the big names these stage is the new guy, Mitchell Hooper.
Yeah.
He's kind of come out of nowhere. Do you know, and I've said this to his face, when he first, it was before World's Strongest Men, he kind of surfaced. And like you see him run around the place in flip-flops with a 500 kilo super yoke. He was deadlifting 475 kilos. He was pressing 200 kilos overhead. And I said it to you, I said, that fucker, he's full of shit. There's no way.
He wasn't.
There's no way he wasn't fucking, he's lifting all this stuff and just, we've never heard of him before, like 2 weeks prior to this.
He wasn't even on the list for World Strongest when he came in last minute.
He was a reserve to the reserves. And we had a few dropouts, obviously. Visa problems, some people and whatnot, injuries. And then he became a reserve. And then he became... So suddenly he managed to become a part of the group of death. Yeah. Everybody knew Mitchell Hooper was like unbelievably tough. The truth is, no, he wasn't even. He was the reserves reserve.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
But I said it to him, and I said he completely proved me wrong because he, like, especially his yoke. His yoke is just out of this world. I've never seen anyone do that.
And the way he gets under it, it's like the transition between running towards it and getting under it. He seems to just jump and he's under it and he's aware.
Especially at Worlds in the final with the box carry and the super yoke. It's funny because when he dropped his box and went for the super yoke, at no point he stopped. He never stopped. He just picked up the yoke on his way and just kept fucking running.
It was as if he'd done it hundreds and hundreds of
like
times.
It was his own equipment, you know.
A bit like, well, there was a few people in Strongman who have sort of changed the landscape. Poundstone was one of them.
Yeah.
When he started, suddenly, viper pressing, or you shove it straight from his hips to overhead with a log that was 160 kilos, and you're like, what?
And then you've got Big Pavlo and Little Pavlo from, it sounds bad calling him Little Pavlo, but he's the smaller of the Pavlos.
It's funny when you call a guy who's 150 kilos and 6'6".
He's the Little Pavlo.
And he's small.
So just to explain to folks, Pavlo Kordiaka and Pavlo...
Netchemensky, is it? Netchemensky? I don't know.
Close.
Why do you think I call him Big and Small Pavlo?
Nakonechny, I think.
Nakonechny, yeah. That's
my Ukrainian's not brilliant, but yeah. So
I think they've both got some good events there as well.
Because Novikov is out now, isn't he?
Novikov's out, yeah. But I mean, the smaller Pavlo, he's very good at dumbbell as well.
He's good at dumbbell.
Very athletic.
Good at power stairs. He's athletic as well, so he'll be good at the medley.
The
only place he'll probably drop the points. Are we deadlifting those wheels?
Yeah.
So I think he'll struggle to get 1 or 2 reps with that.
I think if you look at Big Pavlo, he's messed up on the carry and drag in Manchester last year. He was probably one of the best at it.
He could have won.
Yeah, but he fell over a few times, so it's whether he's, that's just lack of practice in it, falling over with the drag.
He was just going mad, wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he, I think 2 or 3 times, twice.
Yeah, and his shoe came off as well.
At least 5 or 6 seconds. At least 5 or 6 seconds.
But his shoe came off as well.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So,
well, those are basic beginner mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's so wildly powerful.
Unbelievable.
That's terrifying, actually.
Wow.
He's a contender for winning World's Strongest Men next, I think.
Yeah.
I think you're right. He's got to be right up there.
It depends how he takes to. Like, you'll learn a lot about him at the next show because. Glasgow will be a big one for him. Do you know, because he was an underdog at Cardiff. Do you know, no one expected much out of him. Obviously, we expected a big deadlift, but that was it. Whereas he's coming into Glasgow now as one of the top guys.
I think everyone expected him at Cardiff to make more mistakes again, which he didn't. He didn't make any mistakes.
No, he didn't. No, zero. So when he's coming into Glasgow as number one contender, that'll show a lot. If he comes in and he wins Glasgow, I think he'll be on the podium at Worlds.
You know, the funny thing is, chances are he probably did in his head make some mistakes, but he is so wildly powerful. We probably didn't really even notice.
His stone run was fucking mental.
Crazy,
Yeah.
He hasn't really got a weakness because he can press, he can deadlift, he can run about with stuff.
Really fast, yeah.
His shoulders. I have seen broader shoulders. Bibby's shoulders are broader, but his sort of V shape of his body is when he tightens his belt up.
I think with Cody Acker as well, I think you're going to see a lot of improvement because he's done a couple of shows and now he's had time away just to put the groundwork in.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like he knows. Yeah. The first Giant Slab he came to, he was just happy to be there. He could see it was.
Yes.
You know, it was great, and I think now he thinks actually I can do this.
Yeah.
And he's like Novikov or like all them Ukrainians. Got a hell of a mentality for work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the fact that he's beaten Novikov in competition before will be a big positive thing for him.
And then we've got Eddie Williams coming across. He's got some good events. I mean, he surprised me at Royal Albert Hall because he came in last minute and he actually did really well.
He did really good.
I want to say he came sixth, did he? Sixth. But it was a good lineup. And he did good at things that he said he wasn't good at. He still did okay at them. So that'll be interesting.
It's kind of awkward that no one has mentioned Evan Singleton yet.
Well, I don't think he's going to do very well.
Evan Singleton being just over the back of the camera.
Going like this, why aren't you talking about me? Fuck.
No, Evan's... I'm putting Evan in top 3, to be honest. He's
listen, Evan Singleton, when he's on fire and things are going well,
and conscious,
is a silver bullet. When he's a silver bullet.
When he's not unconscious.
Occasionally he turns the gun on himself and shoots himself. That's the only problem.
Yeah, I could see him on the podium, like power stairs.
He's less annoying when he's unconscious. We noticed that.
Yeah. It's a bit like James Brown. He does the whole passing out routine we run on, pick him up. I'm getting bored of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Do something different this time. Stay awake.
So then we've got, I'm just trying to go through it. Kevin Ferris is coming back because we've got the Nicholstone run. So in that, you've got Andy Black there, who's had the record.
Big Hondy.
You've got Mark Felix, who's... did he have the record at one time?
For what?
For the Nicholstone.
He had the Nicholstone. He had the Dinny Stone hold record.
Right, okay. So, well, he's very good at it. And then you've got Ferris as well. So you've got 3 guys there that are going to have a real good blast at that.
Was Felix at Europe's that time? He was, wasn't he?
For what?
What time?
Oh, he was.
What time was that?
He did 18 metres.
Outside the castle?
Yeah, he did 18 metres, didn't he?
Yeah, I think Felix... No, he didn't get it, though. He didn't get it because he didn't... Stoltman had it. Luke had it.
At 20, wasn't it?
No, it was Luke was like 15. It's only 21 now, something like that. 22.4, thank you, Nev.
Yeah, no, it was. I think Stoltman had done just over 20, hadn't he? And actually Felix... the pressure was on that day.
No, 1 second. The line at that day was 20 metres.
Aye.
Stoltman was like 2 foot back from that. So
he was he was 2 foot. He was over it. He made
19.
it and gone over it. He honestly made it and gone over it. And he did it at a Highland Games in Rattray or Blairgowrie. And he did it drunk and hungover. So he just didn't feel it.
Stoltman's about 15 metres.
I'll bet that
no one had ever gone over and come back.
No, they hadn't. He's right there. It was 19 though.
No, and
because Bish got 17.
You're right. It was 19.
The first time anyone made it and came back was Andy Black. So basically, it was something like 18, 19 metres. And then just before the Glasgow show, Andy had gone somewhere and done it. And if you remember, he was about 20 and about that. If you think of where the line was, and then now it's about 22 metres.
Almost exactly. As you can see, we've done our research here. Nev, help us out. 19.3. That's exactly what we said.
And then Andy Black was about 20 point something, just over. And this was all within a short period of time. And then Kevin came and took it, which no one really suspected that.
No. 20 point. What was it, Nev? That's it. Exactly. 20 point something. It's 22. Well, so, and he's the current record holder is
Kevin Ferris.
So
that'll be a great first event. How far did you get with it?
I did 12 metres.
It's all right though.
I came third at it that time.
Yeah, I'm going to say, some people just literally pick it up and you see the look on the face and go, oh, fuck, straight away, and just drop it.
Yeah. You weren't third. You were good. Oh, you were third. Sorry.
Yes, I was third.
Mark Felix wasn't quite as good as I thought it would be because he didn't hold it right on his legs.
He still did 18 metres, though, didn't he? Like 17 or 18 metres.
Yeah, but everyone just thought Mark would just win it, to be honest, because of his grip. But I think the trick is to get to the turn and then drop it and then turn your body. But Kevin didn't. Kevin turned with it and then dropped it just before Andy's mark and then finished it. But I would try and do 20 metres, turn your body.
To be fair, I would also say that day it was sort of quite longish grass. It was quite damp, you know.
What, in Glasgow Arena?
Not in Glasgow. No, the harder it is, you know, the more kickback you get from the surface. And actually, the day Luke did it, if you go look for the video, Luke did it on a really baking hot day, on a baking end of summer, you know, burnt grass field, you know, a very short grass, if not dirt.
Well, so here's a question for you. How good are the two Pavlos going to be at that? Because they've never tried it.
I've no idea about that grip. Grip's a funny thing, isn't it?
Well, I think Big Pavlo's got to have a good grip.
I don't think it's the grip is the issue in that event.
Do you know what I think it is? I think they've got to keep the stones on the outer of your leg.
When I dropped it twice, and when I dropped it twice, it's because I lost balance. It wasn't never my
Is it
grip.
not because it comes in front of you, though? Like
no, it's because you've got 140 one side and 115, so straight away you're misbalanced. And then when you step, and all it takes is one thing, like you've no control over them stones.
I thought what you're meant to do is push your legs out a bit and sort of walk slightly, you know, instead of legs together, you kind of walk out like that to try and keep the weights against your calves.
Yeah, that's what the guys are telling me. Keep the weight there.
Yeah.
And
so
when it comes
in
front
swing,
of you.
basically.
Yeah. But it's not grip because most guys hook grip, and that eliminates the grip issue.
I think Big Pavlo might be good at it because he's
got massive calves. He's got massive calves.
Well, he's pulled so much weight in the IPF with no straps.
But because he's so wide, those stones would be like a foot away from his calf.
Like wrecking balls taking his legs out.
Do you know who will be good at it? Is the other Pavlo, the small Pavlo, because he's got a weightlifting background and hook grip is obviously a thing he's well used to. So when he hooks that, he just won't feel it.
Do you know who I think is going to do well at this? Straight up, Paul Smith. I think it's the right event for Paul Smith. He's got a really good grip, and he's quite good at that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
A bit different, and I think he's going to do really well. I think Paul Smith will be up there.
Yeah.
The world's most underrated strongman, Paul Smith.
Yeah.
Well, he's back at a Giants Live having another go, so it's good on him.
To be fair to Paul Smith, right, he had one crack at Worlds, but the true story is it was Vitautas Lalas. That was his slot. And poor old Vitautas tore his calf muscle in the final warm-up run before he was going to step on the field of play at the start of WSM 2019. It was 2019, wasn't it? Out in the Philippines. So literally, this is literally how long he got.
He's like, Paul, you're on.
Paul, you're in. I don't even have my bag. What do you mean you don't have your bag? You're the reserve. But we got through the familiarization day. No one got hurt. Vitautas is hurt, mate. You got to go in. His face. I think we put his heat back. He got about 20 minutes to get some kit together, and then he was in WSM Pro guy. So
he was on like holiday mode. Do you know what I mean? Because he'd obviously decided, I'm not going to get in. So I think he was on. He just relaxed a little bit. He's like, I'm in.
Sun hat, Yeah.
But you know what? That's still on him, though. I think because like if you say Pa, you're reserved for the Philippines 2019 World's Strongest Men, I'm going to be training as if I'm fucking competing. Just because like it happens more often than it doesn't happen that
it does,
reservists get in.
I think it got past. Usually, if they get in after the testing, though. Yeah. This was actually
after
the morning of starting.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different. But I mean, fair enough. He did. I think possibly he could do with another go when he gets proper prep for it and actually mentally knows.
There were good events for him as well that time because like dumbbell is his thing. Do you know?
It reminds me of the time when the first time we did stone off on the beach in America, and the rule was it was second and third, and Kevin Ferris couldn't lift it over. He was the guy in third. So the rule is you bring in fourth.
Only if the first guy can't lift it.
You've got to have an event. If the first guy can't lift it, then like Brian Shaw versus Bobby, Brian lifted it, so it started. It was underway. That's it. Brian won. But this time Kevin Ferris couldn't lift it. He was in third, and someone else was in second. JF Carroll. Where's fourth? It was that guy, Ole. Do you remember the Norwegian guy?
Oh, right.
And where is he? Oh, he's back at the Athletes' Tent. The Athletes' Tent was miles away, so I'm chipping it along.
Ole Martin Hansen was he called?
No, that was a different guy. This was like Ole. What was his name? Ole Martin Christensen. So a handsome dude with his blonde girlfriend. Anyway, I chip all the way back. In the end, like a golf cart kind of picks me up and zooms me along for a bit. And I run into the athlete's tent, and it's basically abandoned because everything's on the beach. And those two were like in some weird position, rolling around on the floor. I was like, excuse me.
Some weird position.
You're up on the beach, mate. You're meant to be lifting stones. What? Just stretching off over here down the back of these sofas. And he went out there and actually put in a hell of a performance. Do you remember? It was like the best performance he did of that. He did 5 or 6 lifts. It was really
Leave your own stones alone and come and lift these stones.
Yeah. So yes, reserves should be ready to go at any time. Not doing whatever.
Do you think, here's one for you, do you think Tom Stoltman will deadlift 505?
Yes, I think he could. Will he? I don't know. Does he have the motivation now?
I think he could.
100%, yeah. If any out of anyone.
If he took the time and probably got as heavy as he could get as well.
Because I think one of the things you need to do to deadlift 505 is, like, if you watch Thor and Eddie, there's a pattern. They have a similar pattern leading up to their massive lifts, right? And one of the patterns is, well, first of all, they were both in around 200 kilo body weight. Both of their training was really easy. Like, if you watch, there was no struggle in any of their leading up to it. Like, if you watch Thor's 440 for 3 and he did 470 for 1, there were simple lifts. So he never killed himself in training either, do you know? And if you watch other guys in preparation to deadlifting to 505, everyone's struggling in training. Do you know, their training was really tough.
They went too close to it.
They went too close to it as well, do you know? So I think, like, if he follows a similar pattern to them guys, he could definitely do it. Number one, he can reach 200 kilo body weight. Number two, when he puts his mind to something, he can do. Like, it takes a lot of back strength to lift a 285 kilo stone off the ground, and he's done it for a couple of reps. Like, no one else in the world has the back strength to do that, and he has. So, like, and a lot of people say he's not a great deadlifter, but, like, he deadlifted 430 kilos raw.
Well, also, Alistair's a lot of core as well. You know what I mean?
A lot of core as well.
That core hell is strong.
I think there's a lot of people who are saying a lot of things about Tom not being as great as he should be. Really, I mean, he is 2 times the world's strongest man. In other words, when it really mattered,
he can fucking do it.
And everybody is there. He turned it on. I mean, do you remember that? The second last lift of behind the neck press, right?
Yeah.
Or behind the neck jerk, as it should be. He kind of went and pressed it up and smiled, because the previous one he'd had a bit of a fluff, and it was a bit of the referee was a bit early, maybe Magnus, and he would admit that, maybe a bit early putting it down. It was coming forward. But that last one was 240 kilos.
His last one was simple, yeah.
And he just smiling like that. It was wild power.
In the history, since Pudzianowski, you know, me and you've been going to Worlds for a long time.
Yep.
Whether it's competing or judging or whatever, tournament directing. Pudzianowski won it easy a few times. Where he got to the end, he was like, I've won this. I think Tom won it easy because, like, Tom was walking away from events. Like, I believe that press. I'm not saying he could have beat Novikov. Novikov was unbelievable. But I think he would have pushed Novikov to the next weight.
I bet you wouldn't have that. I bet you wouldn't have that view of it after 3 events.
No, he got better and better. But when he walked away...
after 3 events, like, Novikov was literally looking like he was on fire. He won 3 events. There was 3 more events to go. They weren't bad events for him either.
Yeah, I suppose so. But
so at half time, I would have said, Thomas is last.
Did you think Tom put maximum effort into it? I thought it was just like what he did. Like when he did the deadlift medley in the heats, it was just like he did it. It was just like he walked off like almost laughing. Even his last lift on the Flintstone lift, which was still like, I think it was something like 235.
I think it was higher than that.
Was it whatever it was? It was a lot of weight, and he just sort of laughed and then went off. He didn't do it and go, "Oh my God, that's me, I'm knackered."
It was like 232. He slightly got given an early down signal, and then I think it was 239. But in a funny way, it was almost as if he kind of said, "Okay, I'm giving this one to you, Novikov, because you actually." It was almost like I've had a bit of guilt about that 233 because it looked a bit ugly. I've smiled, I've pressed that 239, on you go at 246. It's all yours. And because he just knew it was in hand by that point. But he's a 6'9" bloke with albatross long arms. That he has no right to be such a great presser. At that time,
I remember thinking, shit, Tom, I think you should have done that. Like, as it goes, he did the right thing.
I was thinking as well, yeah.
But I was thinking, you could probably do another lift. And even if you just push Novikov a bit further.
But
he didn't.
There's no way he could have known what was going to happen. There's no way he could have known.
In hindsight, he did the right thing.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Because he could never have predicted that Novikov was going to mess up the stones and the power stairs.
I'll tell you what, I could tell straight away watching Novikov walk out. He'd built some shoes up.
Yeah.
They were within the 3-inch limit that we'd laid down.
Yeah.
But they weren't just like hardened boots. I remember when the stone platforms used to be way too high, you'd often wear a good thick, heavy heel boot. But it was flat. I could see it was sort of ever so, and he's not a heavy man compared to some guys. It was like a built-up trainer.
Yeah.
So it was squishing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It was
put 250 kilos on top of him. I can't imagine he'd had a good base, and it probably would have squished all the way down anyway.
Yeah. So he just made some mistakes towards the end. What was the 3 events? It was stones,
power stairs,
and
of course, yeah, and then the behind the neck. The last 3. No, behind the neck was the 3rd event.
And it was 6 events, wasn't it?
We had the medley, we had the truck pull.
No,
Wrecking balls in the heats.
Wrecking balls in the heats. Producer off camera shouting wrecking ball at us.
There were 6 events.
So we had deadlift.
There was started with truck pull
and super yoke. Truck pull. So it must have been. I had to been. Yes. Super yoke was loading as well.
He won truck pull. He won deadlift. He won the press.
The medley.
It had to have been. Was it something on the? No, it wasn't on the Stones platform. Oh my goodness me!
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. No, it must have been bus pull.
No,
first event of this. Bus pull was first event of the second day. That was the 4th event. Bus pull. Then it was
deadlift, car deadlift.
That was second event.
And he won it. And then it was press.
Power stairs. But we're boring the pants off of people with this dreadful lack of research. I think we should probably just about. Last question then to finish it on a high. Who's the strongest man you've ever met?
And you can't say one of us.
Yeah.
Who am I going to pick now? The strongest man I've ever met.
Yeah. Like not just like
Not just like a winner of World's Strongest Man.
Not just who do you think? My God, that guy is the strongest man I've ever met, for whatever reason.
I've had this with a few people. The strongest man I think that ever lived is Eddie Hall, and you couldn't say otherwise.
Reason? That surprised me. Reason?
Because statically, his lifts. If you look at some of his gym lifts,
he
really
almost
impressive.
got the log world record. In fact, I've got pictures look like he locked it out when he went for it. When it was 2:30 in 17, was it? After he'd won Worlds, and it was so close, and he'd got a bad ankle.
Yeah,
2018 it was. 2019.
He still has the record in the squat at World's Strongest Man.
Oh yeah, that was wild.
He obviously has the world deadlift record
In competition.
Yeah, his pressing, he still has the axle press record. I think
he doesn't. Bibby's got it.
Oh no, Bibby. Well,
yeah, by a kilo or something.
But if Bibby and Eddie went head to head at Bibby's best and Eddie's best, Eddie would beat Bibby.
Eddie's world record was very easy.
It was so easy.
I think, to be honest with you, I think the difference between that, we've talked about that before. I think Bibby's shoulders are stronger, but Bibby struggles more with the clean. Eddie was just like so technical with that clean.
No, I think Eddie's stronger.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he did it easier. He did 2:17.
It took Eddie wanted him to break the world record. It took Bibby 3 or 4 years to break it.
Yeah.
Okay. You got me thinking there. What is strength? Give me one event. You're only allowed one event to decide the world's strongest man. What is it? That's the last question. Last question, and then it's done. What event would you choose?
Deadlift.
Is that not a test of biomechanics?
It's a test of strength and power and it's technical as well. Like anyone can deadlift, but when you go up around 400 kilos, it turns into a technical event.
Is that strength then?
Well, then it's strength, power, technique, it's everything. You can't deadlift 450 kilos with shit form or you're going to break your back or you'll break something. You need to be extremely technical to deadlift 400 kilos off the ground.
If I had to pick one event, it would be a medley that was deadlift. It was deadlift, log press, and a stone. Yeah, all in a row. Who could lift heaviest? That would. If you're going to do one event,
what would you pick?
Probably something like something that had to have a very raw, take you out of the. I'd be the opposite. Take you out of a practiced axis, force you to show. Strongman to me is, here is something you've never lifted before. Who can lift it? Go on, who's the fucking strongest? Hey, come on, and I'll do it. That's what not just measuring things up, little bits of tacky strings and suits on, and That's bollocks. Who can lift it? I would go for a big natural stone. I'd probably go for something painful like a natural stone to shoulder. Kilishkovsky's, when he did that on stage, when everyone else was kind of, oh, and he threw 8 to his shoulder, that was one of the most impressive strength feats I've ever seen.
It was, yeah.
Well, what made it so impressive was how fucking hard it was for everyone else. You know what I mean?
It was set up beautifully. It was perfect.
Before that competition, Brian Shaw and Thor both flew to that place where they stored the stone and had a crack at it.
Yeah.
Kilishkovsky was the only one that didn't get to train in the stone.
He really showed his class that day as one of the most impressive things I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah, he's statically mental strong as well, because he still has the dumbbell record as well.
But it's not even static. That's real all-body. You know what I mean? It's just taking you out of your axis, isn't it? You're not just...
I think if he had a good deadlift, I think he would have won worlds, to be honest with you. I'm not sure now where he is. I don't know where his recovery is. Do you know anything? Or?
I hate to say it, but I think he's done. Because he was one of my favourite strongmen. Because of that stone lift that day, it literally just blew me out of the water. Plus, do you remember that one they did in America? And the log press come up, and a load of people were struggling with the log. They're only like 2, and I think 2 reps was second place. And he came out last. And he viper pressed 3 reps and just threw it down and walked away from it. I think it was...
Oh, you're talking about the one that was Venice Beach?
Was it Venice Beach? Yeah.
Yeah. He just absolutely crushed everybody.
Everyone
just
there.
Everyone, yeah. It was. He'd won. I think he'd only not won just about every event though.
Yeah.
And then he came out and did that as his finale in front of Arnold. And everyone went, "Oh my God, that's insane!" And it was heavy.
It'd be nice to see him come back, but the injuries he's had with his tricep, put back on twice, I think.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Right, we're going to have to call it a day there. Thank you very much to the legend, Pa O'Dwyer, and to my partner in Evan. Sadly, everything.
The Limerick Liar.
The Limerick Lion.
Limerick Liar. Right.
The Limerick Liar. Thanks to Giants Live.